Hey, welcome to Geeky Faucets. I'm Amy Dale.
And I'm Christine Lucas-Savage.
And this is episode 65, and today we have a special guest with us. This is Matt Martin.
Howdy.
And he is our board game expert. We met him at Galaxy Fest, and I think we talked about it on the show. He played Red Dragon.
Yeah, you mentioned it on one of the Galaxy Fest wrap-ups.
Yeah.
I was a crazy rabbit. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that because I thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
That was a really fun game.
It was really good.
And we have asked him to come and do a couple shows with us to talk about different board games. And he does a monthly
Yeah.
night.
So we have some friends and we trade off. So it's kind of the first and third Thursdays of the month. And if there's a fifth, my wife and I will usually host it. It's open. Anybody's welcome to come and, learn board games, bring board games, make friends. It's all managed through, if you're in the Springs area, there is a Yahoo group, cs_boardgamers at yahoo.com, and that's a mailing list. And so they send out, there's a bunch of different game nights that go on throughout the week and throughout the month. And so it's just a good community. And I mean, if you're elsewhere, similar things exist.
Yes, so Google that to find something in your area or start your own. And you don't have to have a ton of board games at the beginning, just start with a couple. And,
Like this one, everybody's probably heard of Settlers of Catan, which is what we're talking about today. But it should be easy. And I would like to point out, this is why we can trust Matt and why you can believe him, because look at his board game. I'm going to show you what the inside looks like. Do you see how organized and pretty that is? My board games don't look like this.
Well, that's because he's made all
Yes.
his own boxes.
Look
to
at
put
this.
everything in.
You can go to Board Game Geek, is that right?
Yes.
BoardGameGeek.com. Print these things out and keep everything so nice and pretty.
And he doesn't
Like,
have the
seriously.
Settlers yet, he said. But you've got Red Dragon Inn.
Red Dragon Inn's on there.
Look at how cute.
I don't remember if I posted pandemic boxes. I don't know. I find it a lot easier just, it helps keep things organized, like on these Catan boxes, I actually put, what, each player's pieces are, so they can say, oh, I've got my 5 settlements, my 4 cities, my 15 rows, so it helps non-gamers also, it helps with the cleanup and the organization and making sure you don't lose pieces. And
It just makes so much sense. It makes me happier than it should. I'm just saying. I just love little boxes so much. I'm like, oh, it's in a little box.
It's very cute.
Okay, anyway, so on to the game.
Okay,
but I just have
so
to...
we decided to demonstrate variable boards.
Yeah, so...
And we're using Settlers as an example because we figured most of you have played it or heard of it.
So one thing I found in my board gaming career is that a lot of different games there's a couple basic mechanics that get mixed and matched in a different way, and you put a different theme on the game, and you've got a new game. So once you learn some of these basic mechanics, learning new games becomes a lot easier. So Settlers has a bunch of different mechanics, but kind of the one we're going to highlight today, like Amy said, was variable board. And what this means is that this board is actually made up of a bunch of tiles, right? And so these tiles, each time you play the game, they get shuffled, they get put out in a different arrangement, and as a result, the board is completely different. This is...
I was going to ask a question. So now, when you arrange the board, like let's say you get to know the game really well, like can that be a strategy in the way the board is arranged, or doesn't matter?
So if you know the board really well, you could probably craft something, but kind of the point in this one is that the board's random, and so that you have to deal with the fact that, hey, maybe in this particular game, a particular resource is going to be very scarce, right? So the idea in Settlers is you're competing civilizations on this island. There are 5 different types of land, terrain, that produce 5 different resources. And then you use these resources to trade with your neighbors and build and expand, and once your empire grows to a certain size, if you're the first one there, you win. Translation, you're first to 10 points. And so, it's being able... kind of the key part of this game is actually in the setup. Not the actual placing the tiles out, but before the game begins, each of us has 2 starting settlements, and we choose our starting points on the island. And that has a drastic impact on the rest of the game. So a lot of it's just learning to figure out, okay, where is a good spot to go? And hey, oh, there's only one good hex that's producing wood this game. If I can get there, I might have something that other people are going to need, and I can make them trade for it.
So what is a hex, in case people who are watching this are not gamers?
Oh, hex, hexagon, hexagonal tile.
So you're just referring to the tile.
Each individual tile.
Oops. There's a problem with a variable board game. People like me with like
a
man hands are like, ugh.
Well, fortunately, the board doesn't tend to move during the game. And actually, so I have the old 3rd edition. The 4th edition comes with a frame that goes around it and captures all the ports, and so it kind of holds everything together.
That's
cool.
nice.
Which, yeah, I don't know. I like this one, but it actually does make the board a little smaller and a little more stable. So that is a good thing.
And we're going to talk next time about cooperative games, but Forbidden Desert is another variable board.
Right.
Which you have, like, it really affects the dynamic of the game drastically because you might have water way far away from everything else that you need. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
And it can be different every single time.
Yeah,
which I guess is
like
the fun of the game, which makes the game, exciting every single time. Unlike Candyland, where you just go, I'm going to go into the castle and the board doesn't move, and every single time and my kid always cheats, so I hate this game.
No, we are not.
Yeah, I mean, there's other, this contrasts with like a lot of the big American strategy games, Risk, Axis, and Allies. I mean, granted, you're playing on a world map, so that tends to be fixed, but it also dictates strategy. I've been playing Risk online through gamesbyemail.com with my mom lately, and it's been a lot of fun, but if you can either isolate yourself in Australia as a classic, or if you can take the Americas, there's only 3 access points in, so it's easy to guard, build up, and then just go sweeping across. And it's kind of a race. Okay, hey, look, I got this one continent. I'm gonna build up, and I'm gonna go. I got this one continent. I'm gonna build up, and it's just.
It's the same thing almost every time,
right.
basically.
Yeah, and so.
But this, on the other hand, is completely random every single. Unless you sit there and like set up the game the same way every time. Which why in the world would you do that? But so you have like a random part of it, which makes it even more fun and exciting.
Right, and I mean, like,
cool.
the game comes with a suggested initial setup, which is nice, and a lot of them will, where, for your first time playing the game, they've tried to balance everything out so that it's an easier board to play on.
So that
so when you're not just throwing someone to the wolves.
No, that's really cool that they come with something suggested. That's nice.
Yeah. See, I've only played this, I think I've played it twice, and I'm not good at strategy yet, but we got Settlers Junior for my kids. And I can totally beat them on that. So I'm just building up my confidence.
I can totally beat my kids. Yeah.
Just building up my confidence to get back into the grown-up version.
Building up her confidence while she kicks her kids to the ground. That's what you get, kids.
No mercy. No mercy at all.
Puppy dog eyes don't work?
No.
Excellent.
We see those kids on a regular basis. We know what they're really doing.
Why does this one not have a number?
That is the desert. It is the one spot that produces no resources, just the robber who.
And you could end up with a lot of those.
Or
is there only one?
So, the base Settlers game plays 3 or 4 players, and it comes with tiles to make an island out of 19 different tiles. And so the distribution of the tiles is always the same. In the basic game, you can get the 5 and 6 player expansion, which expands it for a board. Or, I actually have. And this is one of my favorite parts of my collection. I have the book for Settlers of Catan.
I didn't know there was a book.
There is can I grab it real quick?
Yeah.
All right.
Is it a book like instruction-y book?
It is.
Oh my god, it's like the World Book Encyclopedia.
Holy.
So it's in German. It's Das Buch zum Spielen, which fortunately it comes with an English translation. But this is a bunch of scenarios and variants.
Where did you find this in German?
So this I got at Hobbytown USA in Colorado Springs. It's out of print now.
Wow.
Because it's all written for this 3rd edition. But it comes with a bunch of different scenarios, and you see it has, okay, here's a map, and then alternate rules. One of the favorite ones in here is called The Great Race. And my wife and I play that because it's actually a version you can play with 2 players. And then it also came with...
The Grasinwina.
Yeah.
I think his German's better than yours.
Yeah,
I took German in high school.
Oklahoma.
It also came with
German.
That's nothing's good. No.
the convenient translation in English, and then extra pieces to play all these different scenarios. So you'll have different resources you collect.
I would just like to point out, I'm a little disappointed in this. It's a
It-
bag.
it
There's
came
no
with
box.
You
those,
haven't
though.
made boxes.
I have
though?
not. It's
That's
I
nice.
haven't-
I'm a little
I mean,
disappointed.
I know.
Really?
I know. Although I actually was impressed because these bags came with stickers that do identify everything that's supposed to be inside.
Oh yeah, there you go. You
And so
can
that
see right
was
up here.
with
Oh,
the
that is
That's
nice.
nice,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
still not as cute as your little.
That's super fun. So
I'm-
there's so many ways to play this.
Right.
Wow.
And so
Holy cow.
I love like because I was actually gonna say as a joke, I'm like, can we just put a lake in the middle and like screw everybody up? But look it, they have lakes in the middle.
Yeah.
And like
some
all
the
kinds of
different-
random stuff, so you really can have a
Yeah.
lake if you want.
And I
one.
mean, one of the things, I think kind of the lesson I took away from the book was that, the rules in the box are great. But so long as you all agree on the rules, you can write your own rules to game. Use the pieces and make your own.
My kids try to do that all the time. But if you all agree, that's the key.
Yes, that's,
Yes, my kids call that. I call that cheating.
yes. No mid-game rules,
Right.
They can come, okay, here's how we're starting off, and this is it, Yeah, so I mean, like, tons and tons and tons of replay.
Yeah.
There's 15, 20
It's
different scenarios,
amazing.
and here's so now I have 20 games.
Oh my
instead
gosh.
of
So
That's
one.
great.
this is the advantage of a variable board game, which is what this whole show is about, is what a variable board game is. As you see, there's an entire book with different ways to play this game. So you buy one game, but you have like 50 million up in here.
50
And then you can make up your own rules, which I didn't know. I guess you totally could if you agree on them, not like cheater
Right.
kid rules.
Right.
But yeah, so this is like the perfect example of a variable board game.
Yeah.
It's very awesome.
Yeah. So thanks so much for
Yeah,
joining
no
us,
problem. It's
Matt.
been fun.
This is really fun. So start your own board game night at your house, and you could start with this game because there's so many ways to play it. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.